If you treat wealth building as a continuous, linear grind, you will eventually hit a wall. Earning your first dollar requires completely different rules. The tactical execution required to secure $100,000 won't get you anywhere near $1 billion. You need an entirely different asset configuration. First-time founders often get trapped right at the start. They trade hours for income, repeatedly hitting an invisible ceiling because they rely solely on their own biological exertion to scale. To move past that ceiling, you have to stop acting like a biological machine. You have to master the clinical physics of value creation. The global market operates on 3 laws. The first is equivalence. Value equals money. Currency is simply a lagging metric that shows you successfully resolved a need for someone else. When a consumer buys water on a hot beach, they are paying for the localized utility of hydration. The second is proportionality. More value equals more money. When you build a digital asset, like a specialized habit tracker, and list it on a global marketplace, you scale the utility of your output. That scales your pricing power. This diagram maps the logic behind these laws, bringing us to the third axiom, spontaneous generation. Value is created from thin air. Re-engineering worthless material into a highly functional product generates immediate market alpha. Wealth creation relies on producing utility. Let's track a single operational discipline, software engineering, through the 7 execution floors. Tier 1 is the active labor source, where you clear your first $1,000. You master a technical skill, like writing custom data scraping scripts, and trade that knowledge linearly for a single fee on a freelance network. The structural problem here is immediate. Your revenue is strictly tethered to your available biological hours. You've proven your mind is a money-making engine, but it's an engine that only runs when you manually push it. This flowchart illustrates Tier 2, the productization shift. Instead of performing manual labor for individual clients, you package your solution into an autonomous software interface. By charging users a recurring subscription, you permanently sever your earning potential from time constraints. Executing this shift transforms your solitary skill into an automated printing machine. Earning consistent subscription revenue exposes a new reality. If you are staying up all night answering support tickets and manually fixing bugs, your software tool still requires continuous biological intervention to survive. A tool that requires your constant presence functions as a high-stress job, not a scalable business. To scale past the $100,000 mark into Tier 3, you execute the Systemization protocol. You replace your physical presence with programmatic infrastructure. You build high-conversion landing pages, record exhaustive onboarding tutorials, and contract independent customer support agents to handle the daily friction. Eventually, that automated asset hits an unbreachable ceiling. Your product roadmap backs up because the ultimate limit of the enterprise is once again your own personal bandwidth. To enter the 7-figure arena, you reach Tier 4, the team multiplier. You recruit elite specialists who are far more competent in their fields than you are. Senior developers ship advanced code architectures in 1-week sprints. A dedicated designer optimizes the user journey, while a performance marketer scales international client acquisition pipelines using raw data. A network of specialized brains forces the enterprise to compound at a velocity far beyond the reach of a solo operator. To command an asset valued at $10 million, you have to stop thinking in terms of an isolated product. You must engineer an all-encompassing platform ecosystem. This animated diagram demonstrates deep vertical integration. If your initial software was a scheduling tool, you absorb external features like task managers into your native environment. Resolving consecutive frictions for the same consumer base renders your digital asset completely unkillable. At the 9-figure operating tier, your competitive advantage is no longer dictated by minor software updates. A $100 million valuation requires a powerful psychological narrative. Look at Shopify. Their software is excellent, but their true valuation driver is the global movement they built around democratic entrepreneurship. A strong brand functions as value generation on steroids. It manufactures immense economic goodwill before a consumer ever interacts with your product, establishing an emotional identity that completely insulates your customer base from low-cost competitors. To ascend to the absolute apex of the wealth matrix and capture billionaire status, you reach Tier 7. Here, you must stop fighting for market share entirely. Stripe achieved this by operating as an inescapable fractional toll tax on the global digital economy. They engineered a simple software script to process global credit cards instantly. Now, every time a creator sells a course or an enterprise moves capital, Stripe quietly extracts a minor cut from the transaction. Ultimate wealth is mathematically inevitable when your system becomes the mandatory foundation that the rest of the market builds upon. High-level macroeconomic theory yields a zero return with real-world execution. If you are locked in a corporate job with liquid capital reserves, you deploy the passive compounding pipeline, funneling excess salary into index funds. But if you have zero capital and open hours, you execute the time leverage framework. Trade your uncompensated hours to master a high-income technical capability, secure high-paying client retainers, and pump that cash margin straight into building a scalable digital asset that operates independently of your presence. You can choose to remain a trend-chasing consumer trapped at the baseline of the grid, or you can calculate your structural leverage and build a high-velocity corporate machine. Take control of the board and secure your absolute freedom.